The Buffalo Bills haven't won since September. Josh Allen and company carrying that 2-game losing streak with them during the bye week, and they had to watch as the Patriots took over sole possession of first place in the AFC East. Buffalo, as it stands right now, would be the 5 seed. They have the Panthers coming up this week, a Panthers team that is not expected to have Bryce Young at quarterback, but a team that has won 3 straight games. Then it's the Chiefs in Buffalo right before the NFL trade deadline, which is 2 weeks from this Tuesday. We have Carthon and John Breech with us, and these guys have gotten together and given us 5 trades the Buffalo Bills could make in the next 2 weeks before this deadline. And the big issue right now, guys, is on offense and not being able to stretch the ball down the field. It just doesn't seem like they have a receiver that can do that at this point. If you're looking at a wide receiver right now, there are plenty that are out there on the market as you look at their pass catchers this season, and nobody has more than 25 receptions. Breech, where are you looking over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, if I am Brandon Beane, I am calling around the NFL. And real quick at that graphic, no one even has 300 receiving yards in this roster, so they really do need to upgrade at receiver. But I'm calling around, and I'm checking out and talking to anyone who might be thinking about trading a receiver. And I am starting by calling the Las Vegas Raiders and checking in on Jakobi Meyers. We do know that he has been pretty disgruntled this offseason and even going into this season. There's been a lot of trade speculation involving him. And now with the Raiders getting pummeled on Sunday by the Chiefs, they could reach a point before the deadline where they say, all right, you know what? Let's give up on the season. Let's build for the future. I know Pete Carroll, 74 years old, doesn't want to build for the future. But at some point, you do have to kind of decide that is your best move. And Jakobi Meyers could go in, help the Buffalo Bills. We saw the receiving list right there. Just there isn't really anyone that's been able to get open. And Josh Allen has kind of been able to force to do everything on offense. And Beane could also call the Tennessee Titans, check in on Calvin Ridley. The Titans just fired their head coach. They need to think about rebuilding for the future. They need to think about next year. Start accruing the draft picks now, and you can get rid of a veteran like Calvin Ridley, who surely would be nice to have with Cam Ward, but I think Josh Allen needs him more right now.
Yeah, I just think right now the issue for a guy like Ridley, he tweaked his hamstring a week or so ago, and the biggest thing for a trade to happen is you have to pass the physical or agree that we're okay with accepting this injured player. So at Calvin Ridley's cap number, I just don't know that he'll be quite ready. And Buffalo, they have a history of not taking injured players, whether that's coming out of the draft or in via trade.
So who do you think the Bills should maybe hook up with on a trade for a wide receiver before this deadline?
So to me, I think they need to go to one place and you could choose between 2 guys. And it's for that reason you said someone that can stretch the field, right? And so the 2 names that I thought of was call down to Mickey Loomis in New Orleans and see where he is with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. I think both of those guys being vertical threats, being able to stretch the field vertically, and with Josh Allen's arm and his ability to scramble and make those out-of-pocket throws, I think that really opens up this offense to have some downfield explosive. So I think those 2 guys would be really 2 really good fits for them.
Yeah, you look at the numbers that these guys have this season, and the passing game hasn't been great with Spencer Rattler. The Saints aren't a great team, but you see the receptions both higher than anybody on the Bills. What would Buffalo need to give up for one of these guys, in your opinion?
I think for a guy like Chris Olave, it would probably be in a mid-round. I think for both of them, it'll be a mid-round pick because Shaheed does have return ability, which I think will make Buffalo even more exciting. Being able to have a guy that can flip the field and get Josh Allen the ball in some short field situations. But it would be a mid-round pick, probably because Olave is a former first-round pick. It'll be a conditional 4 that could become a third based off of how much he plays. Not only how much he plays, but the level in which he plays. It's
not just issues on offense for the Buffalo Bills. There's a bunch of issues in the secondary defensively. Now, maybe they get Maxwell Harrison back soon, their first-round pick at cornerback, who looks to be trending on the way back to make his debut for the Bills. But, Breech, what move would you make?
Yeah, that's actually obviously an injury that needs to be watched. I'm trading for a cornerback here. We've kind of seen Tre'Davious White playing at one of the corner spots this year for Buffalo. There's a reason that he is on his third team since the start of the 2024 season. He's not bad. He's serviceable, but I do think the Bills would be worth it for them to kind of call around and see if they can upgrade at the position and maybe give the Seattle Seahawks a call and check in on Tariq Woolen. I think he is someone who could be an upgrade in Buffalo's secondary. He struggled a little bit in Seattle's defense, and it might be a fit. Mike McDonald, we know he has his guys that he likes. He was a good defensive coordinator in Baltimore. He's built this very good defense in Seattle, and it does feel like at this point, Tariq Woolen could be someone who's expendable, probably wouldn't cost too much, and I think that's something you obviously have to factor into this. What would you have to give up to acquire a cornerback? And so I think that's a price that the Bills could afford to pay there.
Right now, the Bills are looking up in the division at the New England Patriots. And this next trade's interesting because you have the Bills hooking up with the Patriots on a trade. What are your thoughts on in-division trades, especially between two teams that are fighting for a title right now?
Now, I highly doubt it would happen. Let's just start there. But I feel like Buffalo needs safety help. Because you have DeMar Hamlin's on IR, so you've been playing with Cole Bishop, you've been playing with Taylor Rapp, and they are not the type of guys who you call erasers. Erasers are guys that can come downhill and take plays away in terms of being able to fit and run support, but then also having the sideline range to play over the top in coverage and affect those throwing windows. And so they don't fit that. And so the name I initially thought about, because I know New England is interested in moving him, is Kyle Duggar. Now, he's more of the fit of playing down near the box and playing in that dual role, kind of being in there and run support, but being able to cover some tight ends. But regardless of who the safety is, I think Buffalo needs to address their safety position.
We've seen an interesting in-division trade this year, an intra-division trade, and that was when the Browns sent Joe Flacco to the Bengals and sent Mike Tomlin into a tizzy, and we saw what happened on Thursday. You have that Bengals team hooking up with a trade with the Buffalo Bills in our very last, fifth and final potential trade before the deadline, Breech. What is it?
Yeah, let's send Logan Wilson from Cincinnati to Buffalo. I think when you look at the Bills' defense, they need to upgrade that front seven however they can, because one thing they've really struggled with this year is their ability to stop the run. They've given up the second most rushing yards per game through 7 weeks. They're going to play Rico Dowdle in Week 8, and he's been an absolute tear for the Carolina Panthers. And when you look at Logan Wilson in Cincinnati, he just got benched, and he is not happy. He kind of threw the coaching staff under the bus in his first interview after his benching. The Bengals are happy with Barrett Carter, and I think if you're Cincinnati, you would probably be happy unloading a player who was a little bit disgruntled because he got benched. And if you're Buffalo, this would be a way for you to improve your defense. And one other thing that Logan Wilson brings, you could probably count on one hand the number of Wyoming players in the NFL. Logan Wilson is one of them. He is Josh Allen's former teammate, so he already has a friend in Buffalo.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% there, Breech. I think he is a quarterback of the defense type. And that's what Terrell Bernard has been for them, but he's injured. And you also have Matt Milano, who I believe he's only played in 12 games over the last 3 seasons, so you can't rely on him. And then you bring the old fella back because he has experience in Sean McDermott's defense in Shaq Thompson. And so he's on the downside. And then Dorian Williams is more of a first and second down linebacker. So adding a Logan Wilson will give you another quarterback of the defense type to pair with Terrell Bernard when he's back, because he can play both Mike and Will Backer. So I think that would be a home run trade if the Buffalo Bills were to do so.
Have a little more than 2 weeks to make these trades potentially happen. The deadline is 2 weeks from tomorrow, 2 weeks from Tuesday. Breech, thank you so much. Ran, did I see Pete eat a piece of paper with hot sauce on it last night on Game Day Recap?
Yes, you did. No judgment on Pete. We made Pete finally eat his words so everyone could see.
Well, I know he's been saying, yeah, but when talking about the Colts all season. But after winning yesterday against the Chargers, Pete ate his own words on paper. If you missed any of it, you can find many of the clips on our YouTube page, our CBS Sports YouTube page.